Today, we are diving deep into a piece of Massachusetts law that is absolutely critical if you're a homeowner. We're talking about septic systems, and trust me, if you're even thinking about selling, this is a rule you cannot afford to ignore.
So, let's say the time has come. You're ready to put your house on the market, and your home has its own septic system. It's not hooked up to the town sewer. This is super common all across the state, but it means you're playing by a very different and very specific set of rules.
If you're not ready for it, it can bring everything to a dead stop.
So what on earth is it, and why does it have so much say over your real estate deal? Well, let's get right into it and break it all down.
Okay, so put simply, Title V is a state law, your local board of health is the one who enforces it, and it says you must have your septic system inspected before you can sell your property. Really, you can think of it as a protection plan. It's there to protect the buyer, sure, but also the environment.
But why all the fuss? I mean, it's just plumbing, right? Well, to really get why this regulation is so important, we have to understand what these systems are actually doing and what happens when they go wrong.
A septic system is basically your own private mini sewage treatment plant right on your property. Everything that goes down your drains ends up in a tank. The solids stay there, and the liquid wastewater flows out into a drain field or a leaching field, where it gets cleaned naturally by the soil.
Now, when one of these systems fails, it is a huge deal. And we're talking about a lot more than just a wet spot in your yard. That untreated wastewater can get into the groundwater and contaminate drinking water wells. It can spread nasty diseases, seriously harm fish and wildlife, and it's even been known to shut down public beaches. So yeah, the state takes this very, very seriously.
Which brings us to the inspection itself. For any seller with a septic system, this is it. This is the moment of truth. It's a straight-up pass or fail test, and the outcome has massive consequences.
So, here's how it works. As the seller, you're the one who hires a state-licensed inspector. They'll come out, run their tests, check everything, and then they've got 30 days to file their official report with your town's Board of Health. If you get a passing grade, that certificate is good for 2 years. And hey, here's a little pro tip. If you have records showing you've pumped the tank every year, they'll actually extend that to 3 years.
Once that inspection is done, you're going down one of two roads. Path number 1, you pass. You get your certificate of compliance, you're good to go, ready to sell. Path number 2, you fail. And if you fail, everything changes. Your sale is basically on ice, and you are now on the hook to get that system repaired or completely replaced.
Okay, so let's talk about that worst-case scenario. What actually happens when you get that dreaded phone call or that report in the mail saying your system failed?
And here is the absolute most important thing to understand. Once that failing report is officially filed with the Board of Health, you have a legal obligation to fix that system within 2 years. And that's true even if you change your mind and decide not to sell your house. The clock has started ticking, no matter what.
First, you need an engineer to do soil tests, they call it a perk test, and then design a whole new system from scratch. Then a contractor with heavy equipment comes in to install it. After all that, both the engineer and the Board of Health have to inspect the work and sign off before you can finally get that precious certificate. Now, I know that sounds incredibly expensive, and it often is, but there is a little bit of good news to help with that sticker shock. The state of Massachusetts actually offers an income tax credit for 40% of what you spend, up to a maximum of $6,000. It doesn't cover everything, but it's a real help.
This all brings us to the big, flashing financial question, is it really worth it to shell out all that cash just to sell your house? Let's look at the numbers. I mean, when you're staring down a bill that could easily be $20,000 or more, you have to wonder, will I ever see this money again? It's so tempting to think, you know what, I'll just try to sell the house as is and let the next person worry about it.
But here's exactly why that's such a dangerous gamble. Think about it. The huge majority of buyers, we're talking like 95% of them, need a mortgage to buy a house. And banks, well, banks will almost never write a loan for a property with a failed septic system. So by not fixing it, you're basically telling almost every single potential buyer out there, sorry, you can't buy my house.
And as real estate expert Craig Power says, when you install that new system, you're not just throwing money away. What you're actually doing is opening up your home to the entire pool of buyers. You're making your house available to everyone, which creates competition, drives up the price, and gets you the best possible deal in the end. All right, to wrap things up, let's go over just a couple more key details that can have a surprisingly big impact on your sale and your home's value.
Now this next point trips up so many people. A septic system size and capacity isn't determined by how many bathrooms you have. It's legally measured by the number of bedrooms it's designed to serve. Why? Because the code is based on how many people are expected to live in the house, not how many toilets they have. So if you have a 4-bedroom house, but the septic plan on file is only for a 3-bedroom system, your house is legally a 3-bedroom home. That directly impacts how you can list it and what it's worth.
And one last piece of advice, and this is a really important one. If you have older relatives, maybe parents or grandparents, who have lived in their home for decades and are thinking about downsizing, please talk to them about this. For someone counting on their home's equity for retirement, getting hit with a sudden $20,000 septic replacement can be an absolutely devastating financial surprise.